Welcome back to LGBT NDE. My name is Oliver, and I'm honored to guide you through another story from our community. As always, I want to acknowledge the person who made it possible for us to share it with you. This story comes from the work of Dr. Liz Dale and appears in her book Crossing Over and Coming Home, a collection of LGBTQ and non-gay near-death experiences. Dr. Dale has spent decades gathering and preserving these narratives, ensuring that queer voices are represented in the larger NDE conversation. You'll find a link to her book in the description below. We've also included a link to our shared LGBT NDE Facebook community, a gentle space where listeners can connect, reflect, and support one another. If you feel called to join us there, you're warmly invited. Today's story comes from an anonymous voice whose journey spans trauma, revelation, recovery, and love. It begins with a crash in 1975 and unfolds into a near-death experience that reshaped everything, offering glimpses of divine peace, a calling to return, and a lifelong unfolding of purpose. This is a story of survival, of spiritual awakening, of addiction and healing, and of the quiet miracle of being truly seen and loved. It's raw, reflective, and deeply human. So sit back in your favorite easy chair, take a breath, and let's dive into today's story. Go ahead, Ira.
In November 1975, I drove into a wall. I remember as my jaw hit the steering wheel, I said, "Oh shit, I'm dead." And then apparently I was taken to a major trauma hospital. I was not conscious, but I vividly remember looking up and seeing some number above a door. Although my glasses had been lost and I am very nearsighted, 20 years ago I could have told you the number, but now it is lost to me. I looked down on my body and remember being in a dark tunnel moving along somehow. I was not in pain or discomfort. I don't remember any details in the darkness, but the light was visible and growing. Then I was surrounded by light, so intense I could feel it. I could not look. It just sort of permeated me. I felt this enormous love and well-being. Peace, if you will. I had some sense of omniscience, or knowing everything. I felt that everything was right, as it should be. There was a purpose to everything. I felt knowledge and glimpsed godhood. I guess there was absolute understanding, absolute love, absolute peace. Next, I turned away and communication began with what others call a gatekeeper or angel or maybe Jesus. If I ever knew, I cannot remember now. I heard that God depended on us to work on earth. Intervention was not an option somehow. I remember an explanation of hell and purgatory, though I am not Catholic, nor was I previously concerned with purgatory. Once I wrote a story in 8th grade about the guard at the crossing of the river Styx. I heard that actually there is no purgatory and no hell. People who leave too soon or hurt others perhaps must watch what effect their actions have on others. Time is so different there. Watching the results can be painful, I understood, but I didn't understand it to be mandatory. I just understood it. No heaven or hell. The good ones get to watch too. I learned that plans existed for me, and that I had altered those plans by suicide. I had the choice to go back. There was much to do. I remember not exactly wanting to leave, but not resisting either. Having seen the other side, I complied agreeably somehow and was imparted with these last words: "Just show them the way." I remember somehow telling my heart to start beating. We had work to do. Then I woke up with a bright light with medical people cutting on me and wiring my jaws. I remember their asking if it hurt, and I said, "Yes." They told me they hadn't used a painkiller, as I had been in shock. They asked me if I wanted relief now. I felt the pain, but in a new and different way. I said, "No," and I was glad to have the pain somehow, but it was only a ghost of other pain I had felt. Later they moved me to a bed and strapped me into traction. I had fractured my jaw, suffered concussion, fractured ribs, and had a dislocated hip. My face looked like a Frankenstein, split between the lip and chin all the way to both ears, cuts and wounds all over. But I was at peace. They gave Demerol for pain. My hip really hurt. I remember a Methodist minister visited me. He spoke down to me. I was so offended. I had just had the most powerful experience of my life, and he was telling me some kind of bull. I told him I was an atheist and to leave me alone, and so he left. I went home to my parents during recovery and I drank Bloody Marys and malted milks through my wired jaws. When I got better and returned to work, I returned to my old ways. I quit my job and took a bicentennial tour of America. I remember at the Washington National Cemetery, as I walked by a huge tree in the Confederate section, I heard wailing and screaming and sadness of great depth, though there was no one around me. I remember crying in the hot noontime sun while walking to JFK's eternal flame. I was moved emotionally. I felt the presence of many souls. In 1983, I sold in-home products nightly while I lived with a relative I loved dearly. We both drank, unfortunately. I remember worrying as she suffered more and more. One Thursday night in July of '83, I ran to my appointment at a home isolated in the woods. They bought my goods and insisted I eat with them. They questioned me and found themselves troubled by my concerns. They said they would pray for my relative. Friday that night I caroused. Saturday I worked all day. I remember coming home to a smoke-filled house. My relative was burning fried chicken in the skillet, while an old school friend of hers ran from the house, screaming that she couldn't take the craziness anymore. Things got worse between us, and I could not communicate with my relative and left. I stayed at the Chief Motel on Main Street, where I bought a big bottle of red wine and lots of cigarettes and watched television all night by myself. I went home Sunday night. My relative was asleep. I slept rock solid and left early the next day to work. That afternoon, 4 days or so after strangers prayed, my relative admitted herself to the hospital. I was overjoyed that night that she was getting help. So glad I fixed myself one too many Bloody Marys. 1 month later, I slept through a small hurricane in Houston. It came through that night, and I was sleeping drunk, missed the whole thing. The next week, therapists convinced me that I needed to go to a recovery program. I did. I attended my first meeting at a gay chapter, where I've been going ever since. That was 1983. Since that time, I have had a feeling that someone was with me, always by my side. I have only once or twice felt briefly left alone. I started a business on my own and struggled. I remember that a year after a powerful relationship ended, I felt deeply lonely. I remember praying to God for something more. One of the steps in AA states that we pray to our higher power for knowledge of His will is for us and the power to carry that out. That night, I prayed for someone to love and someone who could love me too. The next week, I met a man with eyes that shone. I knew he was the one. We have been together ever since. I cannot tell you how much he has meant to me, to my recovery, to my success, to my future. He has understood me at my worst and stood beside me in acceptance. He does not understand for himself the spiritual feelings that I have, but he accepts them as true for me. He is my gift from God, and I have done as well by him as I am able. As for all my old drinking friends, they are all dead except one, and she has 1 more year of sobriety than I do. So, what is it like now for me? My physical scars are almost all gone. Now I have my own business, am a member of the community, active in civic affairs through a service organization, and even own a beach house. I also trade the commodity markets, travel, read, love, and live. Today I ache in strange spots as I age. I am always aware that my pains are for my doing. My father died loving me, and I loved him. We were friends, though not always in agreement. As for my mother, she died a year later in my arms peacefully, surrounded by her grown children and little grandchildren. My friends died loving me, and likewise myself. I have made new friends. My lover grows more important to me daily. I know now what I glimpsed so many years ago, and I have it here with me. May you have it too. It's worth mentioning that I felt loved by the light, and I felt fine, guiltless when I awoke. I understood that God had made me, and therefore I was perfect as a raw material. I could reach people no one else could, with my unique experiences and outlook. Back to you, Oliver.
Thanks, Ira. And thank you all for listening with such openness. And that brings us to the end of today's story. A life shaped by loss, revelation, recovery, and the quiet, steady grace of love. What began in tragedy unfolded into purpose. What felt like abandonment became companionship. And what once seemed like the end became the beginning of a life lived with intention, sobriety, and connection. This anonymous storyteller reminds us that healing rarely arrives all at once. It comes in moments, in the people who show up, in the choices we make, in the love we allow ourselves to receive. It comes in the courage to keep going, even when the path is unclear. May this story stay with you as a reminder that transformation is possible, that love finds us in unexpected ways, and that the light we glimpse in our hardest moments can guide us for the rest of our lives. We'll be sharing more stories soon. If you have an NDE or spiritually transformative experience of your own and feel called to share it, we would be honored to hear from you. You can send your story to the email linked in the description below. Until next time, take gentle care of yourselves. You are loved, you are seen, and you belong in this life and the next.